Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Horton's Backyard Heroes here with another how-to video. We're going to show you how to throw your very first smash burger party. Maybe you've tried them a few times already, but we're going to show you how to cook for a crowd and show off that new griddle, have your family and friends over. As always, please subscribe to the channel. We're going to get right into this one. I love making smash burgers. My first tip when you're making them, use 80-20 beef. You probably already know this. If you don't, maybe you got the wrong beef at the store, use 80-20, trust me. And I wish you could snap your fingers and make these, but it's really not that hard. I'm going to show you how I do it. I use a food scale every time I do this because I'm usually making a bunch. And in my opinion, consistency is key when you're making smash burgers. And that also has to do with the size of them. So make consistent portions. Again, I like to use a food scale. You can eyeball it if you want. It's not that big of a deal. But if they're consistent, then you're going to make sure that every patty is going to come out the same. It's really as simple as weighing them out, making a giant meatball in your hands, get it nice and smooth. I usually transfer it to a barbecue pan and keep it in the fridge for the next day. But if you're making them right before the party, then just throw them on a cookie sheet or whatever. That's not important. So I'm done making my 40 burgers. We're going to head over to the grill area. I'm going to cut my onions. Now it's time for my next tip. A lot of people use mandolins and they cut the onions really thin. I don't like that. I like my onions to still kind of be there when I go to eat the burger and not just burn up. So I like to give my onions kind of a thick chop. Take a look at how I cut these. Try them this way. Trust me, you're probably not going to go back to the thin ones. So let's talk smashing. We're just going to show you this one burger close up to show you how I do it. A good amount of seasoning on the burger, and then I use parchment paper. Some people will say don't bother using parchment paper, just use a spatula. This is the way I like to do it, especially when your griddle is full, because you don't have to slide the spatula around. You can just kind of go right down to the burger, and it's super easy. All right, time for the real deal. We're going to put 8 smash burgers down on this Weber insert for the Genesis. This is an awesome griddle. I love it. We're going to do 8 burgers at a time, like I said. A good amount of seasoning on each burger, and then I like to just throw a handful of onions right on top. Some people will put onions underneath. I prefer on top because I want the burgers to be touching the griddle to get a really good sear. So again, in with the parchment paper, I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can so all the burgers are cooking for the same amount of time. There's going to be a little TV magic here, but I did try to do this a little quicker. Again, don't put any pressure on yourself, but it will help if you can kind of get these things smashed and get this lid shut and let them cook. Now, this is after just a couple minutes. We're getting a really, really good sear on these. They have a nice crust. My next tip for you, after you get these burgers smashed, they don't need as much space anymore. Go ahead and consolidate those patties. Get everything moved to one side. Now, if you're not toasting your buns, you can use this side to maybe put a couple burgers down again if you want. But I'm going to go ahead and get my scraper, get this griddle completely clean, get all the fat off of there. Any kind of onions that I missed, any stuck on bits, because I want to get my buns nice and toasted. I want them to be nice and clean and perfect. Feel free to put your griddle down to a lower temperature on this side, but just watch those buns. They're going to be fine. Just put them on there for a couple of minutes. You always want to toast your buns too. It's very important. All right, now it's time for the cheese. We're going to use American cheese because it's such a good melting cheese. I think most people use American cheese on smash burgers. It's my favorite by far. All right, so once your cheese is melted, we're going to take our buns off. I just transfer everything over to a cutting board. It's nice, quick, and easy. Get these burgers onto our bottom buns. These things are looking absolutely perfect. The onions are cooked great. As you can see, that thicker onion still kind of has some shape to it. It still tastes like an onion. It's not a burnt, crispy thing sitting on the edge of the burger. And there were some thin ones, so if you like a crispy onion, you can still do that too. And look at that perfectly toasted top bun. We're going to get that on. And basically all we're going to do here is our first 8 guests are going to be happy. And maybe 1 or 2 people might want to double, and that's why you have some extra burgers around. So we're just going to do some lettuce, a nice thick tomato, some really good pickles. I let my guests go ahead and do their own condiments. And we're going to cut this one in half just to give you a look on the inside. These burgers were so good. I really hope you guys try this method. Use these tips. You're going to have a really successful smash burger party, and I'll see you out there.